Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to this month's Lunch with Haley presentation. We're going to get started here in just about 5 minutes. Enjoy yourselves, get yourself some lunch, grab a water, a coffee, and we will be right back.
Back in the days, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history, light up your wildest dreams, museum victories. Every day, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have living, shooting for the stars, trying to make a killing. Didn't never die, but always had a vision, always had a always had a feeling, I was gonna be that one. Always had Mama said, the variety is stranger crusades. The wallabies are winning the novelties. Don't ever change, we wanted everything. Wanted everything. Stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Oh. Stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. The saints all been done, but they haven't seen the best of me. So I got one more run, and it's gonna be a sight to see. For a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a time, but I always had a vision, always had high hopes. High hopes for a living. Didn't know always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a time, but I always had a vision, always had high hopes.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome to this month's episode of Lunch with Haley. My name is Brad Biley. I'm Haley Marketing's Director of Digital Marketing here at Haley Marketing. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Want to make sure everybody is comfortable, have your coffee, have your lunch. We'll give everybody just a little bit of time before we get in here as we talk about rockstar marketing, what the staffing industry can learn from professional sports, entertainment, and the largest online marketplaces.
Sequel. Are you ready for the latest? In the garden of evil, I'm gonna be the greatest in a golden cathedral. I'll be praying for the faithless, and if you lose, boo-hoo, look my name. Everything's coming up. Don't break, don't break. I said, I made it. Friends are happy for me, or they're honeysuckle ponies. Can they celebrate my medals, or they wanna take my trophies? Some are loyal soldiers, while these other thorns are rosy. And if you never know who you can trust, then trust me, you'll be lonely. Oh, are you ready for the sequel?
Good afternoon and welcome to this month's episode of Lunch with Haley. My name is Brad Biley. I'm Haley Marketing's Director of Digital Marketing here at Haley Marketing. And I am fired up to talk to you today about rockstar marketing, what the staffing industry can learn from professional sports, entertainment, and the largest online marketplaces. As we get set up here, got just about another minute or two. I'm going to fire up my webcam, make sure everyone can see me, add a little bit of personality to the presentation. Take a second just to find that question window. Let us know where you're dialing in from. I want everyone to be comfortable with where that window is in case you have questions throughout the presentation. So please feel free to navigate over to that questions window and let us know where you're dialing in from this afternoon. Deborah's dialing in from North Carolina. Deborah, great to have you here on Lunch with Haley. Appreciate you making some time for us this afternoon as we talk about rockstar marketing. Chrissy's joining us from Kent. That's exciting. Chrissy, great to have you as well. Got a couple people from New York, some Kansas City. I'm going to be honest, if I could use the questions window one more time, I can't see my webcam. Usually GoToWebinar displays it. So if you can see me as well, use that questions window. Let me know one more time that webcam's coming through. Make sure the audio is coming through real clean for you. If there's anything else that you need from me, I'm happy to do that for you as well. Looks like someone's dialing in. Brenna's dialing in from Arkansas. We got some Kansas City. That's okay. My Bills are going to do a little bit of work this year on your Chiefs. That's okay. I hope you don't mind. But I appreciate you joining us for this episode of Lunch with Haley. Let's get started. Like I said in the warm-up of the presentation, this is what the staffing industry can learn from professional sports, entertainment, and the largest online marketplaces. As we get started here, a little bit of housekeeping. Questions are encouraged. Please use that questions window. We had a little practice here, a little exercise here. Just make sure you could find it. So if you know where the questions window is now, anytime you might have a question, please feel free to use that window. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what's going on. Don't save those for the end. Let's feel free just have that dialogue, have that conversation. Coming to you today from Buffalo, New York, the greatest city in America. And if you know anything about Haley Marketing, we are still fully remote. So if you're wondering why is this guy talking to us on a Lunch with Haley presentation from his upstairs bedroom, well, that's because we're fully remote. And this is where my office is. So I appreciate you joining us this afternoon. As we get started here, a couple other bits of housekeeping. You're probably going to hear about myself, hear about my wife throughout the presentation. So I wanted you to put a face to a name. This is my wife, Rachel. You'll hear about her as we get going through Lunch with Haley. Haley Marketing's Director of Digital Marketing. I've had the opportunity to speak and engage with and communicate and coach countless individuals throughout the staffing and recruiting industry over the last 9 years. It's a picture from the Colorado Staffing Association's annual conference in Denver. If anybody from CSA is on today's call, I want to give you a special hello. It was great seeing you a couple months ago. Excited to see you again next year. Outside of Haley Marketing, I've also worked in professional lacrosse for 5 seasons, going on my 6th now with the National Lacrosse League, operating as their game day coordinator, social media coordinator on game days. Also worked with the Rochester Nighthawks and had the opportunity to work with the Halifax Thunderbirds as well. And I played guitar since I was 15. Been having the opportunity to play in countless bars, coffee shops, wherever they'll let me play for quite some time. You're probably thinking, Brad, why are you telling me all this? We're here to see a staffing webinar. We're here to see Lunch with Haley. Well, rockstar marketing is pretty much everything that either myself, our team, friends, family members, individuals have come into contact with, marketing from outside staffing and recruiting that you can use this afternoon to help take your marketing to the next level. Friends, I'm here today to say we can all be rock stars. Our marketing doesn't need to be vanilla. Our marketing doesn't need to be bland and boring. We can all be rock stars and we can all have unique marketing that's exciting, just like professional sports, just like entertainment, and just like online marketplaces. So let's get started with rockstar marketing, what the staffing industry can learn from professional sports, entertainment, and the largest online marketplaces. A bit of a disclaimer before we get started. The set list is available at the end. If you're taking notes, I appreciate it, but you will be able to screenshot one of the very last slides that give you the entire set list from the presentation. Also, just like any great concert, take it one song at a time. Don't stick around for the encore, hoping to hear that best song. Instead, take it one song, one tip, one tactic at a time. If you've seen any of my presentations in the past on Lunch with Haley, we've talked about goals. We've talked about the theory behind digital marketing. We've talked about the strategy behind digital marketing. This is really all tactics. This is getting right into the trenches of what you can deploy this afternoon based on what is working for sports teams, the entertainment industry, and the largest online marketplaces. Let's go. Song 1, idea 1. you got to build an audience. It starts with building an active and listening audience. I'll share a story with you. When I started playing guitar, I remember I was probably 15 or 16 years old playing at a coffee shop in Orchard Park, New York. I remember coming home that day and my mom saying, "Brad, how'd it go?" I said, "Ma, honestly, not that good." She said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Well, I played okay, but really only played for one person. And it was the girl making coffees behind the coffee stand. No one came. No one was really there to listen. No one really had anything to say about my show. It was just her." And I remember very distinctly my mom saying, "Brad, it doesn't matter who's in the crowd. It doesn't matter if you're playing for one person, 100 person, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, whatever it might be. You never know who's listening and you never know who you can impact." That stuck with me. You need to play a show as if you're playing for one person or 10,000 people. Friends, when we think about digital marketing, when we think about recruitment marketing, when we think about anything on social media or across the digital landscape, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're talking to thousands of people. We are in business of putting great people to work in great opportunities at a repeated scale, right? So if we can build an active and listening audience, you never know who's listening. You never know who's scrolling Facebook, who had a really tough day, who might now want to find their next job opportunity. You don't know what friend or family member may have had a conversation with somebody and now sees your post and says, "Hey, I should send this to Brad." So we need to build that active and listening audience because you never know who's in the crowd and you never know who you can impact at which time. How might we build an active and listening audience? Now, we have to start with why. If you've seen me speak before, you know me personally, you know I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. We have to start with why. Why should I, Brad Biley, the candidate, follow you on social media? Why should I give you my email address so that you can send me marketing materials? Why should I sign up for your job alerts? What's in it for me? If we can start with why and we can win that why, well, then ultimately everything starts to tip. But if candidates, applicants, even prospects don't know why they should follow you, why they should listen to you, why they should really subscribe to your messaging, well, then they're going to go somewhere else. So we ultimately need to define a why. We need to define why somebody should follow our staffing firm, why they should listen to what we have to say, why they should subscribe to a newsletter, define that, and then own that. Once we've developed that why, we understand what it is that makes us unique, why somebody should give us their time, their attention, well, we could consider a like campaign. Still one of my favorite things to do across Facebook, LinkedIn, social media. We can build an audience based on our ATS database. We can export that database, serve those individuals ads across social media, across Google, and we can make sure that they then follow our page. How great would it be if we had a database of 10,000 individuals who are now also following us on Facebook? Maybe they're not looking for a job on November 4th, but maybe they're looking for a job on December 4th. So we want to make sure that we have a like campaign set up on our pages. We want to make sure that it's not just generic though. If I'm in Buffalo, New York, and your staffing firm is in North Carolina, Debbie, I want to make sure that your ads aren't being seen by me, right? I am not going to apply to a job in North Carolina. But if you have that targeting set, you have the right individuals seeing your ads, well, then ultimately they'll follow that page. We want to integrate social and print. QR codes are back. QR codes were long gone. Everybody hated QR codes. And then had a little thing pop up called COVID-19, and we couldn't touch menus anymore. We couldn't touch pens. We had to use our mobile devices to make sure that we could interact with different items. We can lean into that. You'll see a couple QR codes throughout the presentation. I know we're even going to use QRs on digital. Trust me on that one. We can integrate social with print. We can drive people to our Facebook pages. We can drive people to connect with us on LinkedIn using those QR codes. And we can partner with others. I know Richard Rosner is a good friend of the program. He's a good friend of mine. The Staffing Shark has a great relationship with other clients, with other vendors in his local market, partners with them so that he can get his branding, his logo, his messaging on other items, pizza boxes, for example. Getting that branding in other locations so that you're building an audience based on other people's audiences. If you have like-minded individuals and you think through music like this, right? Somebody who might like Dave Matthews, for example, might also like the Grateful Dead. Somebody who likes John Mayer, for example, might also like Ed Sheeran, stay on that acoustic wave. Somebody who likes Kenny Chesney might like Keith Urban. Partnering with others, building audiences based off of like-minded individuals, like-minded organizations, allows you to build your audience strategically. Again, all of this comes back to starting with why. We don't just want an audience of people. We want people who are actively listening to our message, that fit our why, that fit how we can help them today or tomorrow. Number two, you got to be yourself. When it comes to social media, when it comes to marketing in general, when it comes to having your brand voice, you're unique, you need to be yourself. I'll try to play a video for you here. I loaded it into GoToWebinar. I am incredibly, incredibly hopeful. And hey, we'll see what happens, right? That is the power of digital. Loading here for you. We'll press play in a second. So let me kind of take a step back here and explain how my family and I showed up on MLB Network. It was a couple years ago. My uncle Bob had just passed away. My wife and I just got married, and for our wedding gift, she got me tickets to see Notre Dame Fighting Irish in South Bend. Before we left for South Bend, we had my uncle's wake. My aunt pulled us aside and said, "Brad, Rachel, you need to live life because life is short. Take every chance you get because some things only happen once." On the way to South Bend, my wife and I talked about taking my dad and my mom to Chicago. My dad's a diehard Sox fan. Tough break this year in the playoffs. That's okay. There's always next year. Happy for the Braves fans on the call. We bought my dad tickets. So what you saw there in that video is my dad opening a box that said, "Take every chance you get in life because some things only happen once." And inside were plane tickets to Chicago. We didn't have tickets for the game at that time, mind you. Fast forward a couple months. We post that on Christmas Eve. Ends up being seen by 80,000 people. And my dad and my family and I have the opportunity to attend the White Sox game 8 rows behind home plate. My dad was featured as one of the guests of honor of the day. He got to deliver the game ball to the pitcher's mound that day. And the outpouring that we saw on social media was exceptional. It was breathtaking. You know, this picture here that you're looking at on the screen here is my favorite picture of my dad. This is the second that I promise you things clicked in and he had that, "Oh crap, this is really happening, isn't it?" And I love it. You know, this is everything. When you think about what we're getting at here with rockstar marketing and being yourself on social media, being yourself on digital, we didn't ask for this. You know, we took a video, we gave my dad a gift that had been 59 years in the making. We posted it on social. Michael Kopech, one of the pitchers of the White Sox, retweeted it. MLB Network retweeted it. The team had some engagement with it. Local shops, fans caught wind. It caught momentum. And when you have great content, when you have something that speaks to an audience, it resonates with them. Now, I understand that you might not be able to buy baseball tickets every single day, but here's what you can do. You're putting great people to work and great opportunities every single day. And when we eliminate that thought, we lose a lot of the wow of the line of work that we're in. If we can put great people to work and great opportunities every single day, then every single day we have great content that we can be sharing across social media, across digital, across review sites, across our email marketing, across our content marketing. We then take our content marketing and we take it from just posting stuff and clutter into having what I would consider a case story. We have a story that we can share with individuals. And if you're helping people and you're putting great people to work in great opportunities, well, then other people want to be like those people. And now we start to build momentum and we start to build recognition. We build an ecosystem where individuals want to work with you because they see what you've done for others. But that always comes back to being yourself on social media and on your digital marketing. Let's talk about thinking like a fan. This is Brian Fanzo, digital futurist, a big mentor of mine, somebody that I look up to and respect quite a bit on the speaking circuit and also on the digital marketing side of things. He says today's consumers crave access. Today's consumers crave access. When we think about sports and entertainment, let's actually just stay on sports for sake of this presentation. When we think about sports, any team that you follow on social media, they're not just posting the score. They're not just posting what happened in the game. They're giving you behind the scenes. They're giving you the access that you crave that you can't get just by watching the game or saying, hey, Siri, what was the score of the Bills game? They're giving you that access. We can do the exact same. If we are thinking like a fan, and I know our our big ideas this last month was how we can create raving fans. If we're creating raving fans, then those raving fans want access. What access might we give them? Now, we're not a sports team. I understand that. But what access might we give candidates or prospects? We could go live and post exclusive content across social media. Maybe we go live every Tuesday, every Thursday. I know Matt Lowe's, our director of recruitment marketing, goes live on LinkedIn every single Tuesday. We could go live and we can share that exclusive content that only lives on what platform. When we create exclusivity, people have to tune in. You think about your favorite show or program, whether it's The Voice or any other weekly show, you have to watch at 8 p.m. every single Monday, or you got to watch it on demand afterwards. I get that. But you know exactly where to go for that show. What show can you create that speaks to candidates, that speaks to prospects, that speaks to your target audience? We can provide that access. Maybe now that we're post-COVID a little bit and people are more comfortable going into public, maybe we show people what it's like to come into your office, to meet with your recruiters, to meet with your team, to have conversations with your team. Are you still requiring masks? Are you washing all the surface areas that people touch? Are you providing new pens as people fill out applications? If someone's using a keyboard in your waiting room, are you disinfecting that? Are you cleaning it? Can we make people feel more comfortable with coming in to talk to you by providing them the access that they require, that they're requesting? We can interview your key players. You think about a post-game interview, it's not, hey, Josh Allen, what was the score of the game? They get into the mindset of what happened on that 4th and 2 when you were down 4. What did you do? How did you handle the huddle? How did you handle the play? What did you see? Talk to us about it. We want to know, as fans, we want to know what you were thinking. Well, what if we interviewed your key players? What do you look for when you're hiring? What do you look for on a resume? What do you look for that would help me get my resume to cut through the clutter? If I've been recruiting for 20 years and I have certain nuances that I'm looking for, how could I help people be the best version of themselves on paper, on a video interview, on a video call, on an in-person interview? Oh, it drives me a little crazy thinking that we have first interviews with people that we haven't met before. If you have a severely introverted individual coming into that first interview, you're not going to get the best version of them when you ask them the questions that you need to ask them. So what if ahead of that, you gave them a little bit of an interview of who you were, who they were going to meet with, what they were going to do, what they were going to experience when they came into your office? I had a great dinner, and this is incredibly related. I had a great dinner the other night at a local steakhouse for my birthday. And on the table was a white card that gave me 7 to 8 just fun facts about my waiter. It was awesome, though, because as he walked over, I already felt like I had some sort of common connection with him. And it made the experience just that much better. So how might you be able to do that with your candidates so that when they walk through your front door, they feel like they've already been there before? They're comfortable with you, they're comfortable with your office, they're comfortable with your team, so that they can just come down and have a conversation. And last, ask for suggestions. Before Haley Marketing, when I interned with the Buffalo Sabres, one of the projects that I was on for the season was to evaluate what every team was doing around the NHL. Evaluate what every team was doing on social throughout the NHL, what I liked, what I didn't like, pros, cons, data, everything that I could get. Prepare a report, give it to the team and say, hey, here's what we should do. That was then combined with a survey of all season ticket holders. You are our biggest fans because you're paying to be here. You're buying season tickets. What do you want to see? What do you want to see when it comes to what we're putting out on social media? We asked for those suggestions, then we followed up on that. Are you doing that with candidates or prospects? If you're blogging, if you're creating email resources, if you're creating content, if you're creating articles or ebooks, are you doing it because you think that's what people want to receive? Or are you doing it because 48 candidates have said, hey, I'd really love an ebook on how to better prepare for my first day on the job? Ask for those suggestions. Next, we got to personalize our imagery. We need to make sure we're doing a little bit more than just sharing another stock image. A couple examples for you on the screen here. Tim Anderson, my opinion, the most underrated shortstop in Major League Baseball. Great post by the White Sox here. It's not just a picture of Tim at the plate, TA7 at the plate. It's not much, though. There's not a lot going on here. There's some text, a couple overlays. We got doubled image. Not a lot going on. Some texture in the background that I like a lot. We personalized that image, though, right? How about this one? J17, best quarterback in the league. If you don't think so, feel free to use that questions window and let me know why. But you think through the image here, the Bills could have just post a picture of Josh. They could have, but instead, they took the time to add a little bit to it, to make it a little more eye-catching. We consider that thumb-stopping imagery. If you're scrolling social media at 100 miles an hour, pop, 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 what's going to get you to stop and actually consume that graphic, consume that video? Thumb-stopping imagery. Last but not least, because we got to bring in some lacrosse, Kyle Buchanan here, Buffalo Bandits. Just a great happy birthday image. Again, not a lot to it, but it adds a little bit of a dynamic. And now you're probably thinking, Brad, these are great, but these teams, they can outsource creative work. They have in-house media departments. I know, I get it. Stick with me. We might not need to hire an entire media department. But what if instead we did add a little bit? We did still personalize that imagery. You look at the top two examples, we have Brad Smith, we have Matt Swistak. The first, Brad Smith, was featured on Secrets of Staffing Success. So what we did is we pulled out a couple quotables. We made really great, captivating imagery about the questions that he answered on the podcast and then drove people to listen to the episode. Matt Swistak here, we had great feedback from him on what it meant to work at Haley Marketing. So we had one of our creatives at the time actually draw Matt. She was incredibly talented. She still is incredibly talented. She drew Matt, and we added his testimonial to that image. These fun facts on the sides, I already talked about how a local restaurant did that, but you could do that with your team. What if we were showcasing who your recruiters are, who your workforce is, who your team is, so that people feel comfortable when they walk through your front door? Haley's Hits, this is one of my favorite series that we do here at Haley, and I love that we've continued this. Our hobbies, interests, and talents. You have an example from Kristen Wackelchuk on your screen here. Our whole team has it, though, because we have personal identities. You know, it's not just, hey, I'm Brad, I love digital marketing. You can see the sports cards behind me, strategically placed. You know that I'm into sports, music, entertainment because of this presentation. So if we do have the opportunity, and I hope we do, to chat after this presentation, it's not just, hey, Brad, what can we do on social? It's, hey, Brad, how about them Bills? There's some personal relationship building first because you already know who I am and you're comfortable with that conversation. Looked over at the questions window here because I thought we had a question come through, but John is saying that Mahomes, Brady, and Stafford are better than Josh Allen. John, I appreciate you being on the webinar today, and I appreciate you leaving that in here. I'm not going to entertain that question, though, sir. I appreciate your time. Let's talk about remarketing like Amazon. If we think through remarketing like Amazon, there is no one better, in my opinion. When you have an ad from Amazon, it does so well to pull you back in to buy that item. Remarketing, tracker ads, as I like to call them, follow you around the internet. And if you haven't ever deployed one, you've certainly seen one. You go to a site like Amazon, you go to any other sort of consumer website, you look at a pair of shoes, you look at a book, whatever it might be, that starts to follow you around the internet until you buy it. Friends, we could do that with staffing and recruiting. A couple other examples on your screen here. Indochino, great example here. The Ring Spotlight Cam. My wife and I wanted a light over our garage because we didn't have one at the time. We already had the Ring doorbell, so we were thinking, why don't we also get the Ring Spotlight? So if by chance anybody happens to walk over that side of the house, we'll see it. Great. Didn't buy it for 6 months until this ad followed me around enough. And I said, you know what? Let's just do this. Got a good deal on it. There we are. Remarketing, follow you around the internet. We can do that with our job boards, with our career portals. If you have strategic pages on your website that have remarketing code on them, well, then once somebody lands on that page, they go out to the internet, they go to a site like Facebook, we can track them with advertising and we can get people to come back. What I love about the example that you're seeing on your screen here is the A/B testing in the call to action. You have the difference between apply now, like page, learn more. Apply now driving 133 clicks back to the job board where someone can apply and take action for Spectrum. Happy Faces wanted to grow their presence on social media. We talked about building your audience, right? Well, what if we built our audience based off of individuals who have already come to our website? Individuals have come to the site, they've looked at some pages, they know who we are, they have that brand recognition because they've already been to the site. Now they go out to social media and it's, hey, oh, sorry about that, like the page, follow us. That's driving 95 page likes from very strategic individuals who have already shown interest in Happy Faces. So now when they post on social, those individuals are staying top of mind, that content's staying top of mind, and we're ultimately driving people back to apply. And we have Vector, very, very similar strategy to Spectrum, but instead of apply now, it was learn more. And what I like there is a 3x return just by saying learn more instead of apply now. Maybe I, Brad Biley, the candidate, am not ready to apply right now. But maybe I'm interested in learning more. Maybe I'm interested in learning what it is that you have to offer me. Again, you think through messaging, it's not what's in it for you, it's what's in it for me ultimately as I'm scrolling social media. What's in it for your candidates as they're scrolling social media. So if I'm sitting here and I'm not quite ready to apply, I like my job, I'm happy, but I'll learn more. It's interesting. So the lesson here, friends, is we can deploy remarketing in a very similar manner to Amazon. And as we're doing that, as we're being strategic with that remarketing, I would encourage you and challenge you to also sample out those call to actions. A/B test that messaging to see what drives better response. Messaging that fits. This is a fun slide for me. When we think through messaging, when we think through your brand identity, I want to show you a couple examples here on your screen. The first, Disney. Every bunny smile. It's cute, it's cuddly, it's warm, it's inviting. Then in the center of your screen, we have Liquid Death Mountain Water and the Thirst Executioner. It's tough, it's bold, and it really screams at you. Then you have Wendy's, who has a history being a little rude on social media. They chirp back if people have comments about their burgers or their food. They like to go at their competitors on social media. They like to really have a unique and, let's call it, rude voice on social media. My assumption here is your staffing firm is somewhere between the cute and cuddly Disney and the Liquid Death Mountain Water. Somewhere right in the middle, you have a brand voice and a brand identity that is unique to you. We're going to come back to Wendy's. When we think about crafting your messaging, you need to make sure that your messaging fits who you are offline and online. And we also need to make sure that it's uniquely you. When we think about Wendy's, what's unique about Wendy's is they have a very different social media presence, right? I already said they like to chirp at other fast food restaurants. They'll let you know if they think you're wrong about your order. They have a way of trying to drive engagement by being a little aggressive. But people at the counter are nothing like that. When you go to a Wendy's drive-thru, they're actually really inviting. The messaging online does not fit the messaging offline. Now, what am I getting at? When you think through your social media voice, when you think through your messaging and your voice as a staffing and recruiting firm, does the messaging that you have online message or pair with the messaging that you have offline? Do your recruiters know how to address a candidate the first time they walk in, and are they doing it systematically the same? Are they having the same or at least similar conversations with all candidates? Is your screening process the same from recruiter A to recruiter B, or are people deviating from the norm? Do you have messaging that fits? When somebody picks up the phone for your company, what do they sound like? Is it the same? Is it at least similar individual to individual? Or do you have some gray area in your messaging? So when we talk about messaging that fits as a staffing and recruiting firm, you need to understand what makes you unique and what your unique voice is. Again, are you the liquid death mountain water, or are you the cute and cuddly Disney? We see this with staffing and recruiting firms all the time. Some individuals want to make sure that their graphics are warm and inviting. Some want to make sure that they're pushing the envelope. Maybe they're showing more individuals who look like normal individuals. We want to make sure that you have that unique messaging and that it resonates with your audience offline and online, and that it's the same. Again, to come back to Wendy's, you don't want online messaging that's drastically different than your offline messaging. Is it the same? Is it paired? And do you have that dialed in? Do you have processes for your team so that people know when they pick up the phone what to say, or at least have some sort of idea of what to say and how to represent the brand? If you have questions on messaging, we have talked about this in the past on Lunch with Haley. You can check out Staffing Messaging, Striking a Balance Between Human Readers and Algorithms. And you can check out Positioning 101, Make Your Company Stand Out. When you think through messaging that fits, I would encourage you to check out these two presentations. I'm not going to go much more into messaging, but we do have webinars on demand on Lunch with Haley. If you're not familiar with them, what you'll do is you'll go to lunchwithhaley.com. At the very top, you'll click on Webinars on Demand. And from there, you can look at our catalog of webinars from Lunch with Haley presentations for, I'm going to say at least 9 years since I've been here at Haley. So there is quite a database of videos. And that's not just for you. Let your team know. Let other colleagues know throughout the industry. Those are all free. They're all available, and they're not even gated. We're not even asking for your name or your email to check them out. So please feel free to share them with your team. And even if you think that something was great in there, we'd love to know as well. Let's talk about database management, my favorite topic. If you've listened to the Secrets of Staffing Success podcast, I've talked about database management for quite some time. Now, as we look at database management, I want to tie in some consumer brands, some other brands, and bring it to staffing. A couple examples for you. Instacart. My wife and I absolutely hate grocery shopping, so we use Instacart. What I love about Instacart is once you pick a list of groceries, week to week, you get an email pretty similar to the one on your screen that says reorder your items with one click. We're all creatures of habit. We all know what we like for breakfast, lunch, dinner for the most part. So if you click add last order to cart, from there, your cart repopulates with everything you ordered last week. You can pull off the items you might not need. You can add new items, and you can order your groceries, go pick them up. But what I love about this is it remembers my buying decisions. It remembers my purchasing behavior and makes it super easy for me to buy again. On the candidate side, what are you doing to re-engage and reactivate past candidates? If somebody applied for a marketing job on your website in January, are you sending them emails like this saying, hey, we just posted 7 marketing roles on our job board. Interested? Want to learn more? Are you reactivating, re-engaging individuals to repeat that business, to repeat that application, or at least have that conversation strategically? Now, I mean strategically in the sense of, are you serving manufacturing roles to somebody like me who would want to see marketing roles? Are you serving nursing opportunities to somebody who might be a welder? Drastic extremes, I get it. But do you have list segmentation and database management down and so refined that you can send the right messaging to the right people at the right time? Example from Amazon here in the middle. I like to read quite a bit. What I love about Amazon is they give you book recommendations based on your past purchasing decisions, based on books you've read in the past. Are you doing that with candidates? Are you doing that with clients? Are you sending an email to candidates saying, hey, you applied for XYZ role in 2018. Still interested in maybe pursuing a step up from that role? Or are you looking at, are you happy in that role? Can we help you find your next opportunity in something similar? What about job orders? Hey, I know you put in a request for 15 individuals to do XYZ back in January. Well, hard to believe it's already November. Are you going to have that same demand in January? Can we get started on that search now? Because it's really hard to find great talent, and having an extra month would really help. We could get the right people in that role on January 1st if we had a little bit more leeway. Knowing list segmentation and clean database management will help you do that. Now, one of my favorite examples, I was speaking at the National Insurance Recruiters Association earlier this year and took my first Uber in quite some time. And as I downloaded the app, called in a car, figured I had like 45 minutes in the car, so I would check some emails. Got in the car, it said, welcome back. We've missed you, Brad. First off, I love that they put my name in the subject line. We'll talk about personalization in a second. Strategic personalized automation. We'll talk about that in a second. But then in that email, so happy you're here. We have some exciting changes for you. Wow. Tell me everything. What's new? What's different? I haven't been in an Uber in a year and a half, a year, whatever it might have been. What's new? Tell me about it. Are you doing that with candidates? Are you using email marketing, text marketing, content marketing to tell individuals what it is that you're doing differently now than you were doing a year ago? All of our businesses change, they morph, they pivot. Are you educating your candidates, your prospects, to show them exactly what it is that you're doing that's unique? Let's come back to personalized automation. Now, I know there wasn't somebody at Uber that sat there and typed this email and said, welcome back, we've missed you, Brad. I know that. But because they know who I am based on my profile, they're able to use fields and they're able to put in a name and a subject line. Now, when you get an email that's personalized, it feels different, it feels better, and you want to open it. Oh, everyone wants to be talked to in a professional way. And having that personalized automation in an email goes a long way for me. So I would encourage you, at the very minimum, if we're thinking about database management, think through how you can add in some of that personalized automation. What can you do with variables and fields to make the email look a little bit more personalized, even though all you're doing is cleaning up your database and making sure that the first names are in the right column? Certainly don't want to send an email and address it to everyone's last name. Solve the problem. When we think through content marketing, we need to solve the problem. Perfect example for you here. If I went downstairs and one of my pipes was leaking, well, I don't necessarily know how to fix that. So I'd call a plumber. Say that first plumber doesn't pick up. What am I going to do? I'm going to look on Google. I'm going to call the next plumber. They don't pick up. I'm going to call the third person. And eventually, someone's going to pick up. And I'm going to say, listen, I have a leak. I need somebody to come and check it out. Can you get here this afternoon? They now have won my business based on urgency and based on time. If you are not getting back to candidates and prospects in a timely manner, I can assure you the problem isn't going away. The problem is moving to your competition. So when we think through solving the problem, when we think through solving the problem of recruiting, finding great talent, we need to act with a sense of urgency. And we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get back to individuals in a timely manner. Now, I'm not saying you need to be on Facebook answering Facebook messages at 11:30 p.m., but maybe we set up an autoresponder and let people know that we're going to reach out to those individuals within 24 hours, 48 hours. Or maybe you just say very candidly, we don't check our Facebook messages. Please call, email us, give them the route so that they're not just sitting in an inbox waiting for you. We need to solve the problem. If you're interested in some additional reading, there's a book by Marcus Sheridan called They Ask, You Answer. It's really the fundamentals of content marketing. Individuals around the world have questions. You want to have the best version of that answer for their question. It's really a strong framework for content marketing. I would encourage you to check that out. But ultimately, when we think through solving the problem, It's making sure that we're acting with a sense of urgency. And if we can't act with urgency, at a bare minimum, giving candidates the opportunity to say, listen, here's how you can get a hold of us, or here's when we will get back to you. Make sure we're solving the problem. And if we're not solving the problem, we're at least giving somebody a little bit of direction and we're giving them a little bit of comfort. Let's talk content sprints. When we think through rockstar marketing, content sprints and blogging and creating content are pretty critical. A couple examples for you. I don't know who's on the call today, but if you know the man Lil Wayne, let's go through some data here. 16 studio albums, 3 compilation albums, 5 EPs, 28 mixtapes, 280 songs. Only 11 were number 1. If you're not a fan of Lil Wayne, you're not a fan of hip hop, that's okay. How about these guys? The Beatles, 213 songs, 188 that were originals, 25 that were covers, just 20 number 1 singles. You're probably thinking, Brad, what does this have to do with my staffing firm in Indiana? Well, content has a funny way of sneaking up on an audience. You can ask your audience what kind of content they want, like we talked about in step 2. We could talk about creating the best answer to a question on the internet. We can talk about doing research, interviewing, testimonials, finding great data, putting together the greatest blog article of them all. Ultimately, we click publish. It goes out into the airwaves. It goes out into the internet, goes out into this metaverse, as Mark Zuckerberg is now coining it. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait until our audience picks up on that content and catapults one of those pieces of content to number 1 status. Now, friends, we could do everything that we can to optimize our content for SEO. We could do everything we can to add pay-per-click advertising behind it. We can have fundamentally the best article on the internet. But without an active and engaging audience reading it, well, it just sits there. You know, you think through all of the books at your local library or Barnes and Noble. There's so many great pieces of literature that just sit there because they're not getting the right amplification, getting to the right people. What are you doing to get that messaging to the right people? What are you doing to get that right article, blog post, piece of content, ebook to the right people at the right time? Are you making sure it's mobile friendly so people can read it when they want, where they want? Are you making sure it's also friendly on desktop? So if I'm sitting here and I'm staring at an article for 5 minutes, my eyes aren't getting sore. When we think through a content sprint, it's putting out content for the sake of loving the process, understanding that there are millions of candidates in your local market that have questions, that have concerns. We want to make sure we're answering those. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be seen as that trusted resource. Because as I said in the tip prior, if we're not solving the problem, it doesn't mean that the problem goes away. It means the problem has moved. And if the problem moves to your local competition, then we're missing out on the opportunity to put great people to work in great opportunities. We need to do more than sell tickets. We need to do more than sell tickets. If you think through the leaders in sports, entertainment, and the online marketplaces, they're not just selling tickets. Let's really stick to sports on this topic. They're not just selling tickets to come to a game. You think through the Buffalo Bills Instagram feed, nowhere on here does it show you a buy now button. It's not driving you to buy a ticket. Here, we got the Broncos, same thing. They're not showing you a buy now button. They're not driving you to take direct response. One more example, the Cowboys, in case my buddy Adrian's on today's call, they're not driving you to buy tickets. Instead, they're showing you who they are. They're showing you behind the scenes. They're giving you access. They're giving you a look into the huddle. They're giving you a look into the game. They're giving you a look into warm-ups. They're giving you that access that you want. For staffing and recruiting firms, that's your employer brand. We talk about that at Haley Marketing quite a bit, thinking through what it is that makes you unique. What is your employer brand? What's your employer value proposition? What do you bring ultimately to the table? What makes you unique? We could be showcasing that on sites like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, on our blog. We could be showcasing that. We could be doing so much more than selling tickets. But instead, we drop another apply now. Apply here. Apply now. Apply now. Apply online today. Apply now. Hey, here's another job. Hey, here's another job. Hey, did you see this opportunity? We're flooding social media with job after job after job instead of strengthening who it is that we are, instead of strengthening that brand so that when Brad Biley, the candidate, is interested in looking for that next job opportunity, he knows to come to you and your team instead of somebody else. We can do so much more than sell tickets. We can do so much more than just sell open job opportunities. And I'm here today to really encourage you to do that. When you think through what it is that you're doing in your complete marketing, when we think about rockstar marketing, challenge what it is that you're doing to take that just one step further. If we look at the leaders in sports and we look at what individuals are doing, it's not just posting tickets, they're selling the experience. We can sell that employer brand. We can sell that experience for candidates, for prospects, so that they have to work with you, so that they want to work with you. Don't just be another social post of, hey, here's a job, apply now, apply today, apply now. Instead, strengthen that employer brand, strengthen who it is that you are as an organization, and candidates, prospects will know to come to you instead of your local competition. Friends, as we wrap up today, I'm here again to say we can all be rock stars. When we think about our marketing, whether it's our recruitment marketing or our digital marketing in, let's call it 2022, we can all be rock stars. We don't need marketing that is bland and boring. We can challenge what it is that we're doing. We can challenge the status quo of the industry to make sure that we're putting out great content, great marketing that speaks to our target audience and ultimately drives applications and job orders. Because at the end of the day, great posts on social are fun. They look good, but if they're not moving the needle and they're not driving those applications and job orders, then ultimately we're wasting our time. Let's cycle back through the set list one more time here in case you missed any notes and just go through real quickly what it is that we covered. As we looked at the set list today from Rockstar Marketing, let's break it down. It started with building an audience. We need an audience that is active and listening, and ultimately we need to start with why. Why should your candidates, your prospects give you their time, their attention on social media? Why should they give you their email address for an email newsletter? Why should they subscribe to your blog? If we can build an active and engaged audience and we can tell them why it is that they should follow us, well, then we can deploy the tactics like a like campaign. We could use remarketing ads to follow them as they look at different pages on your website and then go out to the internet. We can build that audience that's specific to your staffing and recruiting firm. We want to be ourselves. We want to make sure that we are being uniquely you. I told you the story of my father and the Chicago White Sox tickets. We didn't ask for that, but we can be ourselves on social, and you can do the exact same. When you think through putting great people to work in great opportunities, every single day you're building testimonials and you're building case studies. You're building opportunities to showcase who it is that you helped that might have been down on their luck, where it is that they are now, and where they're headed. Just so somebody else that comes through the door can see themselves in that scenario. But that only happens if you're uniquely you and you're yourself on social media. We talked about Brian Fanzo. Think like a fan. If you have raving fans, and I know you all do, and I would encourage you to check out the Big Ideas newsletter that just came out in late October if you want to learn more about building raving fans. But you can think like a fan. What do fans of yours want to see on social, on your website, on your email newsletter, in your email newsletter rather? Think like a fan. Don't just put out content for the sake of doing it, but instead think through what others might want to see and consume. We talked about personalizing your imagery and not just using another stock image. How can we at least add your branding, add your logos, add your colors to that? How can we have personalized imagery that is specific to your staffing firm so that it doesn't just look like another boring social post? It's that thumb-stopping imagery, right? If somebody is scrolling 100 miles an hour on social, what's going to get them to stop and actually consume that article, consume that piece of content? We talked about remarketing like Amazon. How can we learn from Amazon's playbook? Well, we could put remarketing on job boards, career portals, on strategic pages of the website so that as people come through the door, they see that page. They then go out to social media. They go out to Google. They start to see your ads everywhere to apply now or learn more. We talked about the difference in the call to action banners. What are you encouraging people to do? We talked about messaging that fits. Are you the thirst executioner, Mountain Water, or are you the cute and cuddly Disney? If you're somewhere in the middle and you have that messaging laser focused, is the messaging consistent online and offline? We talked about database management. We don't necessarily just need to go out and find new applications when we already have a database of thousands of candidates who have already applied. What are we doing to nurture that database of individuals in our ATS so that they get consistent text messages, emails, they see social ads, they see digital ads across Google and Bing? What are we doing to make sure that that database is effectively managed? We want to solve the problem. We talked about the example of the plumber. If you have a leaky faucet, you have a leaky pipe, and you don't know how to fix it, you're going to call somebody for help. If they don't pick up, you're going to call somebody else. That is happening right now, today, in your office as a candidate calls your phone and somebody doesn't answer it. Now, you don't necessarily need to answer every call, every email, every text message, every Facebook message, but what expectation are you setting? Do you have autoresponders set up? Do you have out of offices set up so that individuals know when you will get back to them? We talked about content sprints. We used Lil Wayne. We used the Beatles as an example. Depending on what kind of music you're into, thinking through the sake of creating content for the sake of creating content, because you know that at the end of the day, you're here for your why. You have that why defined so well that your content and everything aligns to it. And you're creating content that fuels that why. And when you create content, you don't necessarily know which article is going to jump the ranks, have great visibility, but by continuously creating those articles, well, after 200 songs, there's bound to be some number ones. And that is a content sprint. And last but not least, we need to do a heck of a lot more than just sell tickets. We can no longer just say, apply today, apply now, here's a job across social media or across our content, across our digital. We need to do more than sell tickets. We need to sell our employer brand. We need to sell who we are. We need to sell why you should work for us and our staffing firm instead of somebody else. If candidates have the upper hand right now and candidates have opportunity, why should they trust you with their career instead of somebody else? We can do that, and we can achieve that, and we can answer that by doing more than selling tickets. As we wrap up here, I'm going to ask everybody just to take 60 seconds for a little bit of feedback. Then I'm going to finish out the presentation. If you could, we all know what QR codes are now because of our dependency on them for digital menus. We'll put a little digital back into digital here. If you could point your phone, your camera directly at this QR code, I'd love your feedback. I'd love to know what you thought of Rockstar Marketing as we're slated to deliver this presentation throughout 2022. We'd love to know what you thought. What'd you like? What you don't like? What you don't like? What you didn't like? What can we improve on? And ultimately, how we could add just a little bit more value for you in your day. The sake of this presentation is really built around tactics that have worked for professional sports, entertainment, and the largest online marketplaces. Now, at no point was I intending to overwhelm, give you too many things to do this afternoon, but I hope that you can leave with just one or two items that you say, hey, we could start this tomorrow. We could look at our database and send an email to only people who applied for XYZ tomorrow. Or we could look into remarketing tomorrow. So again, the purpose of the presentation really leans into what's worked in other industries to bring them to staffing and recruiting so that our marketing isn't just boring and bland anymore, but it takes it to that next level. It takes it to that rock star status. I'll leave this on your screen for one more second in case anybody's trying to navigate it. Again, just point your phone camera at that QR code. It'll take you to a real short survey. It's only one question. We'd love your feedback on Rockstar Marketing. And if you haven't yet, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Secrets of Staffing Success podcast hosted here at Haley Marketing. Every other week, our Director of Recruitment Marketing, Matt Lozar, and myself host a show called Insights, where we bring on team members to talk about what they're seeing in digital marketing and recruitment marketing. And on the off weeks of that, our co-CEOs, David Stearns and Victoria Kenwood, interview thought leaders and thinkers from throughout staffing and recruiting to figure out what is their secret of staffing success. If you haven't checked it out, I would encourage you to do so. It's on all preferred podcast players and always on haleymarketing.com. Before we put up the questions window, I want to tell you about our next product demo webinar happening on November 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. We're going to talk reputation management. See how to take charge of your online brand. People are talking about you every single day. People are leaving online reviews. There's a stat that shows 88% of individuals trust an online review as much as they trust a review from a friend or a family member. Now, what your online reviews are saying about you matter. And in this product demo, we'll talk about why you need to build positive online reviews and also how to do it. So you can check that out November 16th at 2 p.m. What I would encourage you to do is reserve your seat today by going to lunchwithhaley.com. And please tell a colleague, tell a friend, tell somebody from throughout the industry to check that out as well. We would love to have you. At this time, I got a couple minutes here. Would love to answer any questions that you might have by using that questions window. Or if you want to chat afterwards, you could reach out to bmb@haleymarketing.com. You can reach out to info@haleymarketing.com. Or hey, because it was kind of a social media presentation, we could also connect on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to chat with you there as well. For all of us at Haley Marketing, I want to thank you for checking out another episode of Lunch with Haley. Take care. Be good to each other.